Friends, this is Roof Rescue. So last May, a good friend of mine, Dave Roper, called me very excited about a new business that he was getting into. Now Dave is the father of 12 and has been the sole provider for his family for 25 years. So when someone like that calls and says, hey, I got a new idea, very excited to make money and help people, I listen. So he tells me we are going to do, or he's starting a roof rejuvenation business. And I'm like, well, what is roof rejuvenation? I've never heard of that. So this is a new solution for homeowners. We have the ability to extend the life of your asphalt roof for up to 15 years. And save you money and save the environment. So somewhere around 10 years, we start to see degradation in the shingles. This can be granular loss, dry brittle shingles, curling, algae stains and moss, that seems to be pretty common around here, and missing shingles from wind. So instead of replacing it, we want to rejuvenate it, save up to 80% of the cost of a new roof, and hopefully extend the life of that roof for 15 years. So what does roof rejuvenation do? It restores the shingle flexibility, locks in the granulars, improves hail and wind resistance, reactivates the sealant strips so they stick to the roof, kills moss and algae. It is 90% bio-based, so it is safe for people, pets, and plants, lab tested, improves fire resistance as well. So what does this look like? So basically it's very low impact. We are on the roof and we are spraying a soy-based product. We spray every shingle within 1 or 2 hours after the shingle has been sprayed and is absorbed into the shingle. So even if it rains, a few hours later, it's not going to wash off, but it's been absorbed into the shingle. And typically this is a 2 to 3 hour process. So, like I said, pretty low impact for the homeowner. Okay, reasons for homeowners to consider this, we got the 3 E's: aesthetics, the environment, and economics. Aesthetics. So you can see the roof is darkening in color, meaning the oil is absorbing. And it will kill moss, it kills mold, algae, so that roof is going to look brand new after treatment. And the environment, it is soy-based. It's going to keep millions of tons of shingle from the landfill. The average roof, when they rip the shingles off and all the tar paper, that's about 3 dumpsters full of shingles that go into the landfill. So we are trying to stop that from happening so often. Then aesthetically, or economically, residential is 95 cents a square foot, commercial 85 cents a square foot. So we want to do this every 5 years, and if we catch shingles at the right time, we can do this 3 times to get that 15-year window. So each time is about 85% less than the cost of a new roof. So if we can do 15 years, that's basically half the cost. Okay, we have a 3-step process. Free roof inspection. We'll come look at your roof, test your shingles, and give you our opinion on whether we can treat it or not, or time for a new roof. Roof tune-up is included. So if we do a treatment, we can, all the penetrations coming through the roof, we will re-silicone that, clean the roof, and then apply our treatment. So this is one of the examples of a roof that was treated that had major mold on the bottom. You can see it, and then 4 months later, the original color has come back. I mean, you wouldn't even know that was a blue roof when it was treated. Let's look at a different one. Okay, this one, a guy called one of our dealers and said, hey, I want you to come inspect my roof. He looked at it and said, man, it's in bad shape. We can't give you a 5-year warranty. We can spray it, and it's going to help it, but we can't guarantee that 5 years. He said, well, I just want it to last a couple more years, go ahead and spray it. So he did. 7 months later, he sold the house And a roof inspector came and said, this has got 5 to 10 years left on it. Then another house, roof was in pretty good shape, maybe 10 years old, was sprayed, and you can see the color change back to the way it looked when it was new. Okay, how can the community help? This is a brand new thing. Most people I've talked to have no idea that this is even possible, so we need help spreading the word. We would like to present to HOA, landlords groups, anybody that we can help save money. Connections with roofers and solar companies would be helpful. Connect to environmental organizations, which is really the reason I got into it. I feel like it's a big help in that regard. And then also connect to realtors. That is my presentation. So most leaks occur because of the penetrations coming through the roof, like something for the bathroom, a chimney, skylights. So we will go and re-silicone all of those penetrations. But if there's like major leaking and damage, that's where we want to work with a roofing company, because we are just a rejuvenator. We're not going to do major repairs. Replacing a few shingles, things like that, we can do that. But mostly we're there to, rejuvenate the shingles and really looking for a roof, 8 to 15 years old, maybe 20 years old max.
Okay. Is this being done in other parts of the country or parts of the world that your friend discovered this, or the story behind that?
Yeah, so we are a greener shingles dealer. So there's a company that has independent dealers that they sell their product to. So we're one of 100 in the U.S. And the person, so that company, Greener Shingles, is about 5 years old. And the person that started that company was an asphalt driveway rejuvenator for 20 years before he reformulated his product to work with shingles. So in 5 years, so we give a 5-year warranty every time we spray it. So in 5 years, there's been 0 claims for someone for us to come back and redo that treatment.
How do insurance companies feel about this when you put that on a little letter that says your roof will no longer be insured next year?
Yeah, so in Florida, we have a dealer in Florida who I think is our biggest dealer. Proved to the insurance industry that this was good enough to where I think every 15 years in Florida you have to have your roof replaced because of all the hurricanes. So now if you have your roof sprayed and rejuvenated, they will count that as good enough and continue to insure the homeowner in Florida.
So great presentation. Love the whole concept. I think I have maybe 30 questions, so I'll try to keep it to like 2. Where are you starting as of right now to market? Obviously, you're needing help spreading the word. But are you what sources, I guess, are you guys using for reaching out to the community?
So we have a dealer in Georgia that's helping us. They ran a 2-minute TV commercial in their local market, sort of. So they're going to let us use their commercial with WLOS, so that's one of the ways to do it, that we're going to try to do it. We obviously have Facebook and we have a web page, but so far it's really just been word of mouth. So any other ideas, I'm definitely open to.
What is your specific role in the company? Do you do this service, or are you just marketing, outreach, stuff like that?
All of it. I do have one other person that is on the roof spraying. I'm basically the salesperson, and we also have a CFO, someone doing all of the things that I really hate. paychecks and dealing with insurance companies and things like that. So, but mostly I am sales and marketing, and then I will go out and, do an inspection, say, hey, this is what's going to cost you, and those sorts of things.
Last one, do you have a wait list right now for the service?
We're basically scheduling in March right now.
Becky?
Thanks for the presentation. Two questions. So first, does the lifespan of the product vary by weather? So like here versus Florida or like Arizona? And then second, since you're coming up on that 5-year mark, what do renewal rates look like for the first cohort? So like how many folks are coming back for that second treatment that you talked about?
Okay, so first question, what we've seen is, in this area, there's a lot of difference in is your house in full sun? Is it shaded? Is it on the north slope or the south slope? There's like so many different, is the shingle architectural, which is a better shingle, or is it the cheap one? So there's so many factors as far as weather and where the house is at on the property that it's, I've seen a 20-year-old roof that looked better than a 10-year-old roof, just based on where it's at. What was the second question?
So like renewal rates, so you mentioned 3 treatments over the course of 15 years, the first one lasting 5 years. What percentage of people that get the treatment are coming back for the second treatment?
Yeah, that's a great question. The company's only 5 years old. So I cannot really answer that. The 5-year mark, though, a lot of the reason that 5 years is the key number is through lab testing. That is when shingles start to lose those oils again, which protect them. So we know if we come back in 5 years and reapply, then we're putting them right back in the shingle and stopping them from degrading.
Thank you for the presentation. I have 2 questions. One is, do you service Haywood County?
We do.
And the second question is this is for shingle style roofs. Are you also working with any sort of restorative for metal roofs, or do you see metal roofs degrading quicker or slower than shingle style roofs?
So yeah, not working with metal at all. I would say metal for sure lasts longer in general. I think most metal roofs are going to last 30 years. There is some lab testing being done on like cedar shakes and things of that nature, which does show promise, but we have not gotten full results yet on those.
Thank you.
Back here, so do you have a moat around this idea? Is it protected? It seems like maybe somebody else could develop a similar formula and maybe move a little faster in the market.
So there are other companies doing similar things, with similar product. The company, Greener Shingles, we get an actual dealer area, so Buncombe County is ours. So if another dealer wanted to come in as a Greener Shingles dealer, they would not be able to service our region. And really even like 50 miles outside of our circle, we're kind of protected. But other companies do exist with a similar product. And there is actually lab testing happening right now for both products to see which one is better, because our product has a lot more oil in it versus the other one is got a lot more water in it. So far, I think we just got test results back for 1,500 hours, and there was some pretty big differences with ours being the better one.
Right. So you're licensing this from dude with 12 kids. And
Right. The product itself, we're a dealer for a company. They make the product, they sell it to us, and then support us as we apply.
Great, love it, thank you.
You mentioned residential, but also then you have pricing for commercial. So do you do, what type of commercial properties can you restore?
Anything with a shingle roof. Yeah.
So it's primarily, as long as it has a shingle roof, not a big flat tar roof or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, and the reason commercial is a little bit cheaper, typically there's a lot larger roof in something commercial with multiple buildings, so then we're not, to spray a residential house, then drive 30 miles to do another roof, in the same area. So our labor costs are going to be a lot lower in that scenario.
Great, and I have some connections for you, so we'll connect.
Awesome.
Can you speak to the value proposition for sort of roofers? Because on the surface, I would think this would be competitive to their business if they're coming and replacing. And then also, similar but slightly different, like the dynamic with solar companies. Like what are like I would think solar companies are very much looking for kind of extended lifetime for the roof. But if a roof is kind of already at a place where it's on the cusp of needing to be replaced, how a solar company would view you versus kind of just going ahead and replacing the roof.
Right. Those are both good questions. So with the roofers, like how I see it is we're not in competition. I go out to see a roof and I say, hey, this roof is so far gone, like there's just nothing we can do to help you. You should call this guy. He can come and put a new roof on it. You know, he's reliable, whatever. And then on the other side, a roofer could go out and say, hey, it's going to be $20,000. And the homeowner's like, I can't afford that. You know, maybe I need some time to save up. He's like, well, there's this other option. These guys can give you an extra 5 years for a couple grand, let you have time to save money, and then we'll come back and give you a new roof. So I'm trying to look at it more as like a beneficial situation, you know, rather than being in competition. Then on the solar side, so when they come out and inspect a roof to see if they can put a setup on the roof, if those shingles are dry and brittle, there's no way they're going to be able to put screws in, put bolts through. So they could say, hey, you need a new roof first, then we can come put a solar setup in. But same thing, $20,000 for a new roof, $25,000 for your solar setup. They may not be able to afford that. But hey, cheaper option, we can come out, spray the roof, shingles are now flexible, they can do their install. So that's, a lot of other dealers have those relationships set up. So we're just looking to make those connections as well.
Tell us about how you see working with HOAs, correct?
So a lot of HOAs, I guess they have rules, you know, everybody has. They have a lot of rules. I live in the country, so I don't really, but there's what, everyone's lawns have to be maintained, and there's certain rules so that everybody's houses kind of are maintained the same, and it keeps the value of the property up. So one of our dealers in Michigan, and there's a video on the website. They did a 60-unit condo association, pretty big houses, and the property manager said he thinks they saved about $2 million in maintenance costs. And a lot of the residents are not permanent, like they come and go, and many of them came back after all of the buildings were treated and were like, oh, we got a new roof. Right? They had no idea that it wasn't a new roof, it was treated. But they were all very happy that the fee on their bill was so much lower than expected.
Question about temperature variance. Obviously, you're working in Michigan, you're working in Florida, but what about like Christmas here? It was 0 degrees one day, and then it was like 50 or 60 degrees a couple days later. What does that do to the product or the roof or all of that when you have such a quick turnaround for temperature? Even now, it could be 20 degrees during the night and 70 degrees during the day at this time of year. How does that affect that?
So we need 45 degrees temperature to spray for it to absorb into the shingle. So winter definitely a slower time for us than spring, summer, and fall. So when we're scheduling, coming out and doing our work, it's really based on the weather. A lot of it can't have rain within a few hours, and the temperature's got to be right. So, but if we get, they tell us 45 degrees, I like 50. 50 is like the number that I use just to be sure. But if we spray a roof and it's 50 degrees, and it's going to stay in that temperature range for 2 hours after we're done, that product is now in the shingle.
So if the temperature variant in a day is 40 or 50 degrees, it doesn't affect the product or the roof?
As long as we're applying it in the
No,
right
you're
temperature.
done already. if you're done already,
Right.
and 2 hours has passed, but the temperature variant in a day is 40, 50 degrees, does that affect the product after it's already
It does not, no. That's, I mean, shingles obviously go through that, on a yearly basis. And so once that oil is in there and it's set up, then we're good.
Thanks.
Hey, Ryan. Thanks for the presentation. Just on thinking about selling, I do think connecting with realtors makes a ton of sense. It also feels like something would sell really well to jealous neighbors. So I don't, it almost feels like you could go to an older neighborhood, pick the worst looking roof, give them a crazy discount, and then just let everybody else drive by. I don't know if you thought about something like that. I think there's some potential there for sure. But do you have any, what is your kind of unique, or the sales pitch when you're talking to somebody? I'm sure the numbers make sense, but people don't like to spend money that they don't have, or they don't have to, right? So how do you think about selling to folks as a preventative measure?
So, I mean, yeah, it is, for me, I'm a very logical person, and I'm a math person, I always want to have a good deal. So, if you look at, say, average square foot roof is 3,000. That roof's going to last on average 15, maybe 18 years, and that's $5 to $7 a square foot to replace it. If you just do your basic math on the cost to maintain that roof and have your house, for that 15 years, if you can double the life of that roof for half the cost, it's just a numbers game for me. So when we go out and do an inspection, there's a stress test on the shingle. They want to crack because they're not flexible, and then also we look at the gutter. That's where all the granulars will stay, even if it's rained a bunch of times. They're really heavy, so they stick in the bottom of the gutter. So we're taking pictures and video of all that, and saying, hey, this is what's happening to your roof. Shingles are obviously degrading. We can stop it and add lots of life to your roof for this amount of money. But past that, that's pretty much it as far as my sales pitch. It's not a hard sales pitch. It's like, this is what we do, this saves you money, and say yes or no.
I think we got time for one more. All right. You ready?
Okay, do you put up little signs in the yard that say roof refurbished by rejuvenated?
Yeah, we don't have the signs yet, but that is in the works.
And that was the last one. Great question.